Namaste viewers, welcome to Dhanadegula channel. Today we will go through the word consciousness a little more, some more facts. We have already have one episode on that. We will try to understand a little more about consciousness. That how do we understand consciousness? See, it's a question that has been explored very deeply by philosophers, sages, across cultures for thousands of years. Let us see some few major perspectives, like scientific, the perspective of consciousness through science, philosophy, and spiritual, so that we can understand it in a balanced forum. Before we go to the details, I request you to please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. As usual, please go through the video completely and then post your comments in the comment box. Now, the scientific understanding of this consciousness is the brain and awareness. In modern science, this consciousness is generally studied as awareness. Awareness means the ability to experience sensations, the ability to experience thoughts or make thoughts or understand thoughts and things like that, and the ability to experience emotions, how it is expressed or how it is felt, all those kinds of things. So the neuroscience, the pure this thing, it says consciousness arises from some kind of complex interactions among neurons in the brain. See, they have studied and then they say that it is a complex interactions between neurons. The cerebral cortex, what they call thalamus, and neural networks are seen as key to generating awareness. There are different levels of consciousness. Even modern science also says awake, jagrata avastha, dreaming, swapna avastha, deep sleep, nidra avastha, and then there are other types of avasthas also, like when you induce some anesthesia and then make you feel that you are not, you don't feel anything, that is anesthesia. There are so many avasthas, intermediary avasthas we can call it as. They are all studied using brain wave patterns. The way how the brain, the waves, the patterns, they all call it as alpha, beta, theta, delta, so many things. They use those Latin words, Latin or Greek, I think it is. So they use these alphabets to study or to nomenclature of these levels of consciousness. Now, the challenge the science faces is science can measure correlates of consciousness, that is brain activity when you feel pain or when you see some red color, something like that. But it cannot explain, or it is yet to explain, why those processes create some kind of subjective experience, the feeling of being me. See, the things that are happening, it feels as if I am feeling that I-ness, there it comes. But science cannot explain why this process creates that experience, the feeling of being me. This is called the hard problem of consciousness. It was coined by some philosopher, David Chalmers. So that means this experience, whatever that is happening, it creates some kind of a subjective experience. But why, how, what happens, that is not known. Now, from the philosophical understanding is the knower and the known. This is purely an Indian thought. The seer, the seen, like that. Knower, known, like that. Philosophers distinguish between, in the consciousness there is the knower, the observer. The mind and thoughts, the known, the observer. Like the two things are there. So that means they separate this consciousness separately from mind and thoughts. They call this consciousness the knower, that is the observer. That Druk Drishya, that is called as. Druk means who is seeing, Drishya is whatever that is happening. Mind, thoughts, pictures, whatever that happens is Drishya. Drishya is not only through eyes, it can be ears, it can be felt, it can be tongue, all these panchendriyas. So, the mind and thoughts, the known and the observed. This is purely an Indian thought, Indian, a way of expressing it. So, the key factors here are, you can observe your body, you can observe your thoughts, you can observe your feelings. So, those thoughts, body, actions of the body and all those things, they are objects of your awareness. They are the objects. They are not awareness. But the one that observes them, that is the subject. It's very hard to, understand it. Nevertheless, but see, the one that observes these things, that is the thoughts, the body, the feelings, that is not I. That which observes all these things cannot itself be observed directly. The subject, they cannot be observed directly. So that pure witnessing presence is consciousness itself. So this is how it is bifurcated here. It has nothing to do with mental or anything. It is with all the feelings, with all the emotions, with all the thoughts, with all the body actions, that is kept aside. It is not yours like that. It is considered as, there is something different, there is something else which observes, which witnesses all these things. That is called as consciousness here. That is called that Sakshi. Of course, the idea appears in both Western philosophy also. I think, therefore I am. He says, Descartes says, I think, so I am. So the Indian Vedanta, Drashta, the seer, the different from the seen, this is how it is there. Now, from the spiritual angle, consciousness as the ultimate reality. In Vedanta, particularly in Buddhism and many mystical traditions, consciousness, that is Atma, is not something that arises from the brain. They don't consider that it comes from the brain. It's the very foundation of existence. This is how the Buddhism, this is how the Hindu thought also thinks about it. It is the very foundation of a consciousness, this Atma, this is the very foundation of existence. They call this as Atman, they call this as Brahman. The self, that is the pure consciousness, is identical to the universal reality. This is in Advaita Vedanta. So, the world, body, mind, whatever that is there, they all appear in consciousness. Everything appear in consciousness. It is not the other way around. So, consciousness or Atma, or what we call it, that consciousness is not an object. It is the factor, it is the light, it is the force. It is some kind of a, some kind of a force that makes all experience possible. It is not an object. So, when you see a dream, everything in the dream people, space, time, everything appears within your own mind. It is there in the mind only. It is not there outside. In the same way, Vedanta also says, waking world appears within consciousness. Just as people, space, time appear in the dream, within your own mind, it is there. It is not there in the hand, it is not there in the eyes. Nobody sees, nobody listens music, nobody does anything there. Your panchendriyas are not working there. It is there in the mind. You listen to that music, you listen to that picture, you have seen so many things while dreaming. But none of them, it relates to your mind only. It doesn't relate to your eyes. You see pictures, but your eyes are closed. You don't see anything. You listen to songs, you listen to beautiful voices, but they are not heard through your ears. It is there in the mind. It is all that is happening is in the mind. So that is your own mind. Just as that happens, Vedanta extends this logic to whatever you see through your eyes, through your this thing. Everything is within consciousness. See, dream mind is one, consciousness is another. Just as in the dream you see everything, in consciousness you see everything. That is, whatever you see, whatever you observe when you are awake, whatever you see, listen, whatever you touch, whatever you feel, all those things. There, this is how it is described. You are the consciousness, the eternal witness. So now leave out that dream state and all those things, sleeping and all those things. So here Vedanta describes that consciousness, you are that consciousness, that is that eternal, they call that as witness, they call that sakshi, that is one which sees all these things. So now a simple way to understand is, close your eyes, notice sounds, thoughts, sensations. Who is aware of them? You. That you, the awareness behind everything, doesn't change even when thoughts or emotions change. That unchanging awareness is consciousness. This is how it is to be understood. Now, how do we bridge this science and spirituality? Modern researchers are now exploring consciousness through quantum physics, suggesting consciousness and reality may be interconnected. They might be interconnected. Meditational research, through meditation, studying how awareness changes brain patterns. And panpsychism is another word, the philosophical idea that consciousness is a fundamental property of all matter. Consciousness is the fundamental. So consciousness might not be a product of the brain. It might be the field from which all things arise. That is how it is looked upon. You can just connect spirituality with science. So essentially consciousness is the force, is the power by which all experiences is known. That they call it as light, that they call it as bhati, all those kinds of things. It cannot be seen because it is the seer itself. It is the seer itself. It is not something we have. It is what we are. This is how it is to be understood. Yes, with this explanation we conclude this episode. I hope this was quite interesting. Please like, share and subscribe to our channel. Please go through the content and post your comments. A lot of people, they have their own explanation to this. They might have their own way of understanding it. Please put them in the description bar, in the comment box, so that others can also learn about it. Thank you.